All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep going with combination or function math, operations, things like that. So we're going to start off with, and these are all problems that you got for homework. We're going to start off with these two. Now, this 3 tells me what I'm doing, as well as this f. The f tells me what function I'm looking at, which equation I'm looking at, and the 3 tells me what to do with it. So I'm using function f. And instead of writing x, I'm writing 3. And I'm going to erase all of my x's and change them to 3's. Now, all we have to do is basic math. So what is negative 3 times 3? That gives us negative 9. What is negative, and this just comes down, so I end up with negative 9 minus 2. And that gives me negative 11. On the next one, we've added one more step. So I'm doing f at 2, like we did here, but then I am adding 9 to the end. So let's go ahead and write out the original. And I'm going to change my x's to negative 2, because they told me use negative 2. And then, at the end of all of that, I need to plus 9. Because that's what it says right there, plus 9 at the end. So let's go ahead and solve inside of our parentheses. Negative 3 times negative 2. Well, a negative times a negative becomes a positive. And 3 times 2 gives me 6. Minus 2 plus 9. And 6 minus 2 gives me 4. 4 plus 9 gives me 13. So we could say negative 2 is our x, and 13 is our y. We could say negative 2 is our domain, and 13 is our range. We could say negative 2 is our input, and 13 is our output. All are the same. Now let's go to something a little bit more difficult. We're going to go back up to these two problems. I can rewrite this as g at 1 times h at 1. And now we know what to do. I know I'm going to rewrite g, and instead of putting n, I'm going to put a 1, and I'll do the same with h. So I'll have g at 1 equals 1 squared plus 4 plus 2 times 1. And when I do h at 1, this one down here, negative 3 times 1 plus 2. Well, 1 squared gives me 1, plus 4, plus 1 times 2 is 2. So 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 2 is 7. And over here, I get negative 3 plus 2, and negative 3 plus 2. Now, that is not the end. We have not finished, because remember, we are supposed to multiply these two together. So all I'm going to do is take my 7 and multiply it with negative 1, which gives me a total of negative 7. We can do the same over here. By the way, we don't need to do division, so ignore that one. However, over here, we can technically solve this because I know what to plug in. So let's go ahead and do this one. Again, I'm taking my 3 and putting it everywhere. 3 tells me what my variable is going to change into. So instead of a, I'm going to write 3. So my g at 3 is 3 times 3 plus 2. And my f at 3 gives me 2 times 3 minus 4. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And 9 plus 2 is 11. 2 times 3 gives me 6. And minus 4 gives me 2. And again, we are not done. We still have to divide. So we'll have 11 divided by 2. And that will be our answer. Because we don't care about making sure our number is a mixed number. We care about making sure it's simplified as much as possible. And then we can leave it as an improper fraction. Now, let's go ahead and move on to 11. For 11, they did not give me a number here. I got a letter. I have A, which means that we're going to have to do these a little differently. We can't solve first and then subtract because we're going to still have letters in our equation when we are finished. But this does say G minus F. So we're going to take G and take F and subtract. G is negative 3A minus 3. We're going to put a minus sign in between. And then our F, which is A squared plus 5. I cannot get rid of my parentheses until I have distributed that negative sign everywhere. So now I have negative A, and my positive will also become a negative. We're changing the signs. So now I can delete my parentheses. So I'll have minus 3A, minus 3, minus A squared, minus 5, a whole lot of subtraction. And there's one thing that I can combine together, which would be my negative 3 and my negative 5. They have like terms. They are both constants. And we remember biggest exponent goes first. And that would be the end of that problem. Let's see if we can find another one. We'll do one more of those. I don't know if we have another one. I don't believe so. Let's move on. We'll go to these two, 13 and 14. I'll do 13 and you will do 14 for homework. Because again, you already had all this information and we were supposed to finish this for homework from last class. So this says we're using F, and instead of X, we are putting in 4C. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. And again, we're going to delete our X and put 4C. There's nothing happening to the 8, so we can bring it down. What is 5 times 4? That'll give me 20, and our negative sign just came down. And C. Technically, we could rewrite this as negative 20C plus 8. However, that is the end. That's all we can do. We cannot put 8 and 20 together because 20 has a C with it. You're going to do something very similar with 14. We're going to move on to 16. Now, we're doing two functions at answer, at a specific value. So we're going to do like we did on the front, negative 4. So I'll have minus negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 minus 11. And I'll have F at 1, which is negative 1 squared plus 8 times 1 minus 11. And I'm going to let you guys finish it off. Remember, don't forget when you get this answer, subtract the 2. Over here on 17, notice this is 8 or G and this is H, so we're going to be plugging into two different problems. We will do 18 though, because now 18 and 19, notice they're doing more stuff. So I need to find H at 8 and F at 3. H at 8, when I look at my H equation, negative X minus 7, which we replaced our X with our 8, and we end up with negative 15. Now we need to do H at, or F at 3, and F at 3 is going to be 3 squared, 8 times 3 minus 11. 3 squared, that's going to be negative 9 because the negative is on the outside. 8 times 3 is 16, 24, I believe, minus 11. 24 minus 9 will give me 15, minus 11, which gives me 4. Now, not only do I need to do that, but I need to multiply it by 2. So if we were to rewrite the entire thing with our new answers, we would have negative 15 minus 2 times 4, which gives me negative 15 minus 8, which would be negative 23, if I know how to add and subtract correctly. So you're going to do something similar with number 19. We'll go ahead and re-talk about this one at the bottom. If I could scroll. There we go. So we notice number 1 says figure out what happens if f add 2. Well, we know this negative 1. We know this negative 1 is our input or our x value. So let's go over to where x equals negative 1. And we're going to look up and down on that line. And what I need to identify is where does my parabola, this upside down looking u, cross f at 1, our x value at 1? Where does it cross? Well, it surely crosses right here. And what is that value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this equals 5. Remember, 5 is technically our y value. We could also call it our output. So let's try another one. Let's go into 4. So I need to go over to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I look up and down, and I see it crosses at 0. Our y is at 0, so this one will equal 0. I'll let you figure out 26 on your own. But we will do 27, because that one's kind of backwards. This says, what is x? But I know my y. So instead of going to x, we're going to go up to y9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to look left and right this time because I'm looking for that x value. And I notice it crosses at 1. So x equals 1. You could also say f at 1 equals 9. The last ones I want to do are composition. Remember, this circle really means f at g of n. And over here for 19, it's going to be the same outside, inside. And that's an x, not an n. Now, 16. What this is saying is take function g and plug it in for n, because typically we would write f of n. So instead of n, I am writing all of g. So f of g of n gives me 2 times, what is g? Negative 2, or negative n minus 4. And now we need to distribute our 2. And when I do that, I end up with negative 2n minus 4 times 2, and 4 times 2 gives me 8. So negative 2n minus 8. And again, I'm going to leave 19 for you to do by yourself. And that is another review of functions, ladies and gentlemen.